You start getting the kids used to inappropriate sexual talk, sexual looks, sexual content, and then the moves in for the kill. That's called grooming. And this is one of the many reasons why drag queen shows in front of children that are sexualized are grossly inappropriate. And if you're not equally outraged about it, then you are part of the problem.
I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10, I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. You can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Who's paying you? Unfiltered. Today, we are diving in to the life, the rise, and the controversies of one of the most polarizing media personalities out there, Megyn Kelly. A figure that somehow has both been a mainstream journalist, a cultural lightning rod, a political antagonist, and I'm sure a hero to some, but then again, a villain to others, all depending on who you ask, of course. And the main question for me to answer today is, how did Megyn Kelly become loved so fiercely and disliked just as intensely? To really have an understanding of that, guys, I think we have to start from the very beginning. So Megyn Marie Kelly was born on November the 18th, 1970 in Champaign, Illinois. She grew up in a Catholic family shaped by an early loss of her father, who had died unexpectedly when she was very young. That tragedy, combined with her mother's strict discipline, created a personality many would later describe as defiant, tough, and laser-focused. Kelly later married twice. First to Daniel Kendall, which that marriage ended in the mid-2000s. That was her first marriage. And eventually, she got married to Douglas Brunt, a former tech CEO turned novelist. And with that guy, she has 3 children. And this whole family woman image has always been a part of Megyn, her brand. The sharp, unfiltered commentator who then later on goes home to a quiet, traditional domestic life. And Megyn, she did not begin her career in journalism. Oh no. She was a corporate lawyer first, trained in litigation, confrontation, and of course, debate. And in all honesty, guys, you can still see the roots of that in her media style to this day. So in 2004, Megyn jumped to Fox News. And by 2010, not even 6 years later, she became the rising star with America Live. 3 years after that, she was hosting The Kelly File, one of the network's most powerful primetime shows. And I think, guys, this is what set her off and made Megyn Kelly become a household name. Assertive, sharply spoken, and always ready for confrontation. And talking about confrontation, her 2015 GOP debate with Donald Trump, do you remember? Where she challenged him on his insults towards women. You can't convince me otherwise that cemented her as a cultural force. But it also placed her in the crosshairs of America's most passionate political movement. So because of that, in 2017, she jumped ship and went straight to NBC. And needless to say, this feisty woman went there with a massive contract. But, I'm not laughing because of this, but that whole period there, that was very short-lived. And need I say, very controversial. And after the blackface commentary scandal in 2018, her show, Megyn Kelly, was abruptly canceled. And I think this really marked a turning point for her. She didn't keep quiet for long, though. Her departure from legacy television really did a number on her. But she took all her bags and made a way for herself. And she started her own podcast, The Megyn Kelly Show. Today, her audience is overwhelmingly conservative, guys. Anti-woke, culture war-driven, and deeply loyal to her blunt style of commentary. That type of loyalty always comes with a cost. And to me, that is where the story sharpens. So Megyn Kelly's fans see her as fearless. You know, that kind of co-host that dares to talk about topics other media personalities would avoid: race, gender identity, cancel culture, just anything culturally explosive. This is the type of audience that feels alienated by, the traditional media. And Megyn offers them what they perceive as unfiltered truth. But those very traits that her audience admires are exactly the traits that also make her deeply, deeply disliked. Critics argue that she often discusses things she does not fully understand, yet speaks so confidently about, especially when it comes to issues that involve marginalized communities. Megyn girl, you know you don't know ish about that. They see in a commentary, patterns of minimizing racism, dismissing lived experiences, which you are good for, Megyn. You do that a lot. I do see this. And also, the thing you do is framing identity issues as aggravated grievances. I have seen you do this once or twice too, Megyn. And in my eyes, that tension between backlash and admiration sets the stage for controversies that really define her whole career. Now, guys, let's look at some of the controversies, because if you don't know who Megyn Kelly is, let me really refresh your memory. I need you to know. Let's look at some of the foolishness she has said out of her own mouth, guys. So Megyn Kelly's first major controversy came in 2013 during her Fox New Year's. So in an attempt to settle an on-air debate, she just bluntly stated that, Santa is just white.
Santa Claus should not be a white man anymore. And when I saw this headline, I kind of laughed and I said, oh, this is so ridiculous. Yet another person claiming it's racist to have a white Santa. And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But Santa is what he is, and just so you know, we're just debating this because someone wrote about it, kids. Okay, I wanted to get that straight.
But not only that, she then doubled down and said, while I'm at it, let me tell you, Jesus is white too.
Okay, so I've given, her name is Aisha Harris. I've given her her due on where she was going with it. But just because it makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean it has to change. Jesus was a white man too.
Yes.
But my point is, how do you just revise it, in the middle of the legacy of the story and change Santa from white to black?
Yeah. And that moment became symbolic. This was for people a snapshot in her worldview, where whiteness was treated as the default. A perspective, guys, that would follow her for years to come. But if that 2013 Fox New Year's wasn't the spark, 2015 was the explosion. Because that Trump debate created a whole spectacle on another level. Her question to Donald Trump about him calling women fat pigs, slobs, dogs, and disgusting animals, remember, guys, placed her right in the center of political warfare.
You may have heard that there was a dust-up involving yours truly and presidential contender Donald Trump.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account
only Rosie O'Donnell. The fact is, she asked me a very inappropriate question. She should really be apologizing to me. You want to know the truth? You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
I said, how much of this do you take? I have zero respect for Megyn Kelly. I don't think she's very good at what she does. I think she's highly overrated.
Trump, who is the front runner, will not apologize. And I certainly will not apologize for doing good journalism.
And for a brief moment, right there, she was seen as a serious journalist. A journalist that was ready and willing to challenge power directly. However, everything with her, you already know, is short-lived. So the tide shifted again when she joined NBC. There, her downfall arrived through a conversation about Halloween costumes. Yes, you heard me right. A discussion where she defended blackface as something that used to be okay. And she even said it. She said, what is racist?
So truly, you do get in trouble if you are a white person who puts on blackface for Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. Like, back when I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as like a character. There was a controversy on The Real Housewives of New York with Luann, as she dressed as Diana Ross, and she made her skin look darker than it really is, and people said that was racist. And I don't know, I thought, like, who doesn't love Diana Ross? She wants to look like Diana Ross for one day. I don't know how, like, that got racist on Halloween.
Backlash? Immediate. NBC caught ties quickly.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Megyn Kelly, and I want to begin with 2 words. I'm sorry. You may have heard that yesterday we had a discussion here about political correctness and Halloween costumes. And that conversation turned to whether it is ever okay for a person of one race to dress up as another. A black person making their face lighter or a white person making theirs darker. to make a costume complete. I defended the idea, saying as long as it was respectful and part of a Halloween costume, it seemed okay. Well, I was wrong, and I am sorry.
But guys, if you think this is where, it all stops, no. This is not where the controversy stopped with Megyn. We, of course, also have her interview with Alex Jones. Remember, that conspiracy theorist who denied that the Sandy Hook massacre, defined another low point.
Megyn Kelly lost her hosting gig at a Sandy Hook group's gala after her controversial interview with Alex Jones. The interview with the popular conspiracy theorist is set to air Sunday. Kelly was scheduled to host the Promise Champions Gala, a gathering put together by Sandy Hook Promise. They're a gun violence prevention group that was founded by some of the family members of the victims of the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012. On his show InfoWars, Jones has repeatedly said the mass shooting that killed 26 people is a hoax. Organizers said they couldn't support Kelly after she gave airtime to Jones on her new show.
And because of that, many accused her of platforming such misinformation, which is clearly dangerous. Therefore, this undermined her credibility as a journalist even more. And I don't know if that is what made her really pissed off, because in the more recent years, you could clearly see her commentary escalate in intensity. For instance, take her whole stance on our new mayor, that new politician, Zohran Mamdani.
Like, just say what's real. We all know what's real. This guy is so radical. It's incredible to me. I feel like the voters of San Francisco would reject this guy. And New York City, the main target of 9/11, is about to elect this guy who's not even sorry for his bestie, imam, pillar of the community comments. The anger that he spewed. I mean, he dropped the mask immediately. Mamdani did. Immediately. He got up there and was all but rubbing his hands together, looking at his new power and what he's going to do to the city of New York. God bless them. I wish them all the luck. And I'm worried on a personal basis. I shudder to think of what he's going to do to it. I mean, we didn't even talk. We spent so much time on the socialism and his radical Islamist ties. We didn't even really spend a lot of time on the fact that he's budgeting, he said, $65 million to trans anyone who wants it, from in-state or out-of-state, minor or adult, on the taxpayer dime. He basically wants New York to be a sanctuary for trans children.
Her take on him was characterized as xenophobic, portrayed him as a cultural threat just because he's Muslim. And you know what it is? This rhetoric didn't emerge in isolation. Like, I stated before. She have said numerous of things like this in the past, which then something like that becomes a consistent pattern. A pattern, to me, of fear-based messaging around, identity and demographics. Sometimes I wonder, is it just for the podcast? Is it just for shock value? I mean, who knows? She is feeling the wrath. But this can't be a coincidence anymore. Because then we had the whole thing with Michelle Obama and the hair situation. So for the people that missed that, Michelle Obama spoke about her feeling pressured during her times in the White House to actually press and straighten her hair as a black woman. In her eyes, that is what made her representable while doing her duties in the White House. And this is a struggle that is very relatable for a lot of black women, where oftentimes you are looked at just because of the way you wear your hair, or people want to touch your hair or make a big fuss out of your hair, which makes you really uncomfortable. So in true Megyn Kelly fashion, she dismissed that entire experience. Of course. But not only did she dismiss it, guys, she dismissed it as bullshit.
Here's Michelle Obama, who's promoting a new book on her special fashion, and sat down with People magazine and said the following in SOT 26.
As women of color, that the way our hair naturally grows out of our head is beautiful. But if we struggle to make it look like the standard, that means we are spending thousands of hours and lots of money straightening out what is naturally curly hair, right? And that takes time out of your life. It costs money.
Okay. So what she's saying is she's bitter because society's standards, in her view, don't allow black women to just walk around with their natural hair. That is bullshit. Black women can walk around with whatever hair they want. Only in Michelle Obama's warped mind do white people not like them unless their hair looks like white hair. And here's the other thing. The nerve of this woman to pretend that black women are the only women who have to spend a bunch of time getting their natural hair to, quote, conform to these alleged society standards? Because virtually every woman I know, every woman spends a shit ton of time on her hair and wants it to look better than God made it. It's not a black thing. It's a human thing, and it's especially a woman thing. But she's always reducing everything to race.
Girl, what do you know? As you can see by the way I reacted, this struck a nerve across black media, which then again reopened, a gateway to conversations about Megyn Kelly's long history of racial insensitive remarks. You see what I'm saying, guys, when I say they always pop back up? It's like she loves it. I don't know. And if this wasn't enough, we could also add the recent layering of the way she handled conversations about anti-Semitism. Not through slurs, but again, to minimizing the term itself, defending or downplaying the actions of the ones that were accused of anti-Semitism.
I know what Hamas does, trust me, and I've been covering it. But that doesn't mean that the devastation and destruction can go on forever. Israel's now taken out Hezbollah. It's decimated Hamas. It had a war with Iran that we almost got dragged into, in more full flower. It's time to wrap it up in this American's view. I am entitled to that opinion, and I will not be shamed out of it by being called an anti-Semite. Now, as for my decision to platform Tucker, too bad, too fucking bad. I love him. We're friends. I don't think he's an anti-Semite at all, but I don't really care. I think Tucker's a very important, valuable voice in the national conversation. I'm thrilled.
I think Candace is
I don't know her. I don't really know her that well. Although I will tell you, we recently had a very nice exchange before all this. And I was just reminded in my own head that Candace is a young mom of like 3 young kids. She's under a lot of pressure. She's got a big show. She's been under attack since she came onto the public airwaves, and she's been under attack constantly. And it's my prerogative if I say to myself, that is not someone I wish to attack.
Hate it or love it though, Megyn Kelly doesn't care. So her friendships with people like Candace Owens and Carlson Tucker and other people that challenge the conversation of the power within the Jewish community. She tried to remain neutral in all of that, but as of lately, it doesn't really work for her.
So Megyn Kelly did not pick up the memo, and she has the pro-Israel crowd going after her now. She interviewed Marjorie Taylor Greene, and this interview has since went viral. She talks about how she feels like she can't even critique Israel.
I'm looking at Israel in a different way right now than I was on 10/8, that's for sure, of 23. Right. And I can feel the pressure being slightly ratcheted up, like you're not allowed to. You tell me I can't talk to somebody or about something, the more I'm guaranteed going to do it.
Ignore the signs with Candace, I ignore the signs with Tucker, but I'm not ignoring the signs with Megyn Kelly. Really hope she changes course, because this mind virus of being anti-Israel is a psyop that's infecting so many people I used to respect and listen to. Keep going down this road and I will stop watching. Wow, Megyn, you too? How disappointing. Wow, what a bummer, Megyn. I didn't expect this from you. You have lost me. Have a wonderful life.
And if that wasn't enough to have on your plate lately, you just go on and on. Now, your recent foolery really got me. Like, the other things, were ludicrous, but then again, I looked at you, strong-chinned. I don't like your ass, so I was like, it's okay. But this really got me, because even your followers were like, wait, what?
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into, like, 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal. I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10, I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. You can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And your daughter is 14 years old. You are the one that we need to look out for.
Listen, white women manufacturing consent for misogynists, racists, and predators is not a new phenomenon. There's actually tremendous historical precedent for it. During the antebellum era, many pretended not to see their husbands assaulting enslaved black girls on plantations and impregnating them. Many sewed KKK hoods so their husbands could anonymously lynch black boys and cut off their genitalia to be kept as souvenirs. So when I hear Megyn Kelly downplaying the assault of minors because white men did it, I don't hear a deviation from historical precedent. I hear a continuation of it. People like Megyn Kelly, who are out here softening the actions of predators, have been simultaneously scapegoating trans people and drag queens as a danger to our kids when they're not. It's giving deflection, and it's giving the calls coming from inside the house. An 8-year-old and a 15-year-old are both minors, and targeting one versus the other doesn't give you some kind of moral high ground. That framing is dangerous and despicable, especially from someone who has a 14-year-old daughter. Women are so often the cultural educators and arbiters of their families. When they took their kids to have picnics under mutilated black corpses hanging from trees, they taught them that was acceptable. And when you lend your gender and optics to bolster white patriarchal systems, you teach your kids that's acceptable too. So are y'all going to keep sewing hoods, or are you going to start burning them with us?
But let me ask you something, Megyn. Do you get money somewhere? Who's paying you? I mean, you have been problematic for the longest, but this whole shift and with the Epstein files, you are going so hard for Trump, putting Hillary Clinton on blast, going harder on her than on the whole Epstein files. It's wild to me.
This woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal.
So guys, the reason these moments are relevant today is because her platform is now bigger than ever. She no longer only answers to a corporate newsroom where they can censor her. That's not the case. But that's exactly where the danger lies. She broadcasts directly to millions of followers that just blindly trust her implicities. And to me, that is very dangerous. So when a person like that constantly downplays racism, cultural issues, dismisses marginalized experiences, frames identity politics as exaggeration, it becomes more than controversy, guys. It becomes culture-shaping rhetoric. And Megyn, let me tell you something, girl. You have survived a career that would have ended many other public figures. And you reinvented yourself more than once, but make that reinvention count. Because, there's one thing that I see with every reinvention you do. You still provoke, you still divide, and you still ignite the culture war, girl. Her words carry weight. There's no denying in that. I do have to say that cancel culture is still very real, girl. You might not believe in it, but it is. You might dodge the bullet once, twice. I don't know if you can come back to it. But then again, in this time here, 2025, you might still stand a chance. Align yourself with mega people. Well, family, let me know what you think. For the people that didn't know Megyn Kelly, have you learned something new? Let me know how you liked it. If you liked it and you haven't subscribed yet, hit a subscribe, guys. Or at least hit a like for your girl. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.